I'd like to open the Peabody Planning Board meeting and agenda for January 21st, 2021, held at 7 p.m. at a virtual platform Zoom. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, the General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18. This meeting will be held on a virtual platform Zoom, and it's being broadcast by Public Access TV. First order of business on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the virtual meeting held on January 3rd, 2020.
Mr. Chair, I have the meeting minutes. I did not proofread them for a whole lot of probably grammar mistakes, so I will have them at the next meeting for everybody. So we have the 7th and 21st meetings.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to defer the acceptance of the meeting minutes of January 7th until the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You have unanimous. Site building permit plans, 54 Prospect Street.
Mr. Chair, so I sent out the agenda to the applicants and they actually immediately wrote back to me and said that they are going to defer income to, they hope, the next meeting. We had construction review with them previously, and they were explained to by the Department of Public Service that there'll need to be a third-party review take place. So they are currently having third-party reviews be completed on this property, and they've yet to hear back. So instead of coming before they've heard back from the third-party reviewers, they said they would just wait. So they will not be presenting at this meeting this evening.
That's the memorandum from Community Development and Planning from Kurt, saying that any further questions requiring further information, please free to contact Andrew. And the department recommends that we hold off until we get the peer review.
Exactly, yeah. That being said, because they were supposed to be here this evening to present, I just wanted to have that memo there in case if they did present tonight, but they are not because they're still awaiting the reviews.
All right, and that'll be moved to the next meeting?
Exactly. If they are ready, they might want to move to the next one, but for the moment, they are on the next meeting.
Appointments, subdivision board action, Boulderwood subdivision. We have on hand here Attorney Barrett from the city, wishing to answer questions the board might have, or he can research questions on the Boulderwood request that we put in from the last meeting on the water tower.
Mr. Chair, I'd also just like to mention that Mike Salamini is also present. And Mike, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, perfect.
I'm not sure, I still can't see a video of myself. Can you guys see me?
We cannot see you, but we can see your name. We can hear you. Attorney Barrett, are you able to hear us? Oh,
He doesn't look like, oh, there he is.
there he is.
He was on.
I believe, I think it's just asking him to unmute. I can explain why we're waiting for Attorney Barrett to unmute. I reached out to the Department of Public Services and inquired about the review on this. They've still yet to review, being able to review the information provided. I believe, Mike, did you receive my email today that they were looking for certain files to review?
Yes, I did. I relayed that to our engineer, and he'll be able to provide CAD type files to the city. He just has to clean up the CAD files so they're in a clean format for the city.
Perfect. Attorney Barrett is calling in and he can hear us. He does not know how to unmute himself on his phone. Does anybody know how to unmute on a phone call in?
I'm not positive. I think it's like *6 or 6. One.
Is he using the Zoom app on his phone?
No, I think he just called the phone number.
I don't. You can click on the Zoom link from a smartphone and it takes you to a fairly fully functioning.
It is it's *6.
He's
Okay.
on. Mr. Barrett, can you hear us? He's muted.
How's that?
There we go.
Jesus. Sorry about that.
Yes, do we have any questions from the board for Mr. Barrett?
Well-
Mr. Ford?
Well, very simply, what is the proper procedure for the city to take possession and control of the water tower structure on the Boulderwood subdivision?
Yeah, so let me just let you know, I was asked by Don Kahn to fill in just a day or so ago, and I received some materials this afternoon from Andrew. So I'm not in any position to render any kind of opinion or advice in this setting. I'm certainly happy to, give a thorough review of all the materials, consult with Don, and then get back to the board. But right now, I'm just getting my, up to speed on what the issues are.
Yes,
If I may interject, Mr. Chairman, I did have a meeting with Don Kahn and the mayor in regards to this. They had met with the Solomines probably about a month or so ago, maybe a little bit further, in which they had requested, the city take control of the water tower. What was relayed to me was that they wanted to start that process, and the mayor and the city solicitor were supportive of that, but they're not at this point ready to accept that water tower. There's still some due diligence to be done in regards to the city and the engineering department prior to them taking over. I think they've reached the agreement that that's what's going to happen, and I think there were just some details that they needed to work out prior to getting the endorsement from our city solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Belvance. Any other questions? I guess, Andrew, we can move this discussion to the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we're just still awaiting. I mean, I spoke to Will today. Will is the Department of Public Service, and I think they're waiting just to get those files, and I know they need to get out there and visit it, but they haven't reviewed it yet. So I would recommend that the board hold off on voting on anything, any piece of the acceptance of the subdivision until Department of Public Services has provided a review.
Just so we're clear, regard to the water tower as-built and all as-built plans, with regard to the water tower provided the city 5-6 years ago. So that's kind of a separate issue from the subdivision as a whole. So they're not waiting on any as-built plans for the water tower and that infrastructure.
Yes, Dr. Otto.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Kurt, if I may. Mr. Solimini represented at our last meeting 2 weeks ago that there was going to be another meeting with legal staff and with the mayor, and this is why we put it off the 2 weeks. Did that meeting happen?
As far as I know, that did not happen unless Mr. Solimini met with him. I don't believe it happened.
No, the mayor postponed the meeting. I'm still waiting to hear for a rescheduled meeting date. So that meeting did not happen.
Roy?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Well, my comments, and I'm not a lawyer, but I was thinking if we do accept the subdivision, does the water tower come along with that? Or is this a question yet to be determined by the city solicitor?
I think you should wait until the engineering department gives their review and gives their feedback before taking any action on this.
Yeah, this is kind of an unusual situation. We've never had a subdivision with a water tower, which is potentially going to be a city apparatus. This is, even though it's been kicking around for many years, it's kind of a new twist on things. And I'm not rushing the process. I just want to make sure we do the right thing. We do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have at this time.
If I may,
Mr. Advanites.
yeah, Mike, you indicated that you provided as-built and all other required materials to the city several years ago. If you haven't, I would suggest that you just confirm now that they have everything they need if you haven't done that already.
Okay, yeah, so I
Long time.
definitely can confirm with the city, but they, it has been operating under the, DEP's, transition plan, and basically all the requirements under our water tower agreement with the city, that the planning board was a party to, along with the mayor's office. And the city solicitor, basically our position is we've fulfilled all our obligations underneath the water tower agreement. And, all those things were provided to the city, but we can double check to make sure that they have everything they need with regard to as-built and such.
Any other questions from the board? And I believe this matter is deferred until we get a memorandum from Public Services as they're accepting the subdivision, roadway layout and responsibilities the planning board is involved in. Is that acceptable to the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Barrett, and thank you very much, Mike. Hopefully we'll keep you informed, and something hopeful will happen, maybe the next meeting or the meeting after.
Okay, great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, do you need a motion to continue it?
We could
So
accept,
moved.
Mr. Ford, motion to continue it until we get the response from community development.
Department of Public Service.
Public Services and the city solicitor.
We have a second on that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
100%. Subdivision board action, we just went through Boulderwood. Proposed Stonegate subdivision action to continue.
Mr. Chairman and the board, in your packets, there's a letter from Attorney Kelty in regards to the subdivision, and he is asking for continuation until February 25th. He's also provided a brief little line in there stating, I am informed that the applicant has asked Eastern Land Survey for a design overhaul, which will result in fewer lots and more open or more area for storage and treatment of stormwater. So I know, Mrs. Ramos, you had been asking about an update. I had asked Attorney Kelty to provide something in the form of a letter.
Perfect, thank you. It's been a long time coming.
Drew, have you seen a revised plan yet?
I've seen some sort of iteration of a plan. I don't know if that's the plan that they're officially going to go with or not. So I don't know how much I want to speak about said plan until they come forward to the board. But the one that I did see, it follows what Attorney Kelty had provided to the board.
Under correspondence, Stonegate subdivision request for continuance. Is that
Mr. Chairman, I would move to receive a communication from Attorney Kelty dated January 14th, 2021, in regards to Stonegate, and an extension of time to act until February 25th, 2021.
We have a second on that?
I'll second.
I don't object to it, but it just seems like we're just kicking this one meeting at a time down the road. And it seems if they're doing new lot layouts, that it's going to take a lot longer than February 25th to get it squared away.
Right,
One
and this has been on our table probably for close to 3 years now.
Almost in April, May.
True, if
But
they,
again,
if
I don't object. I don't
they
object. but I
resubmit
just-
and drastically change the number of lots, is it a completely new?
Well, I think it would have to
All over?
come down to the planning board's thoughts on if it's a significant change. I'd have to read up on the rules and subdivision in regards to massive changes such as this.
Cutting the number of units in half sounds significant.
And I think that would be up to the planning board to make that decision.
We would have to see the plans first and any recommendations. On Mr. Ford's motion, we have a second.
I seconded.
Peter Avenatti, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Unanimous.
If I could, through you, Tom,
Yes.
if I could just make a comment regarding what Matt said. I think what we're getting, what you might be getting at is that there was an approved plan and then they made the change.
No,
So
the plan was not approved.
Exactly.
Plan
There's
was
nothing been,
presented.
exactly. There's nothing been approved here. So I disagree that caveat applies. They're having to change the number of lots because they can't meet the water infiltration for the stormwater. That's my suspicion.
I understand what you're saying, Roy, is that you are correct that nothing has been approved here. So I think, like I said, it would come down to whether the board feels that this would warrant a completely new application or if they are just completing a revision to said plans based on Department of Public Services and different departments' input.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we got to wait and see what we get.
Correct. I don't know if this is happening to anybody else, but I can only see one person at a time.
Yeah, it's Zoom's logarithm that you must have on speaker view.
In the upper right-hand corner, maybe, John, there's a little grid where you can change the view to gallery.
Well, I haven't touched anything, so and all I see in the bulk of my screen, it says Zoom and the little window, like you're in the window right now, so.
Luckily,
There we go,
I'm not
there we
sharing
go.
anything on the screen, so I think we're all set.
Okay, I believe that Matt, some of the board members had some questions about your request for a subcommittee, and I'm quite sure Matt will answer them. Roy, do you have that question still? You're muted, Roy.
Yeah, no, I got a satisfactory answer from Drew. I'm fine.
Well, you're fine.
Thank you.
Matt, I can just explain. Roy had asked me previously, so I said to him, he had inquired to where the planning board stands with transportation, why we'd look at it. And I explained that I believe that what Matt wants to do, and you can then tell me if I'm wrong, but look at ways and investigate ways that the planning board can help encourage or promote any forms of alternative transportation or just work on transportation in the city. And I gave an example of that. The planning board for residential developments has site plan control, and maybe with not having a whole lot of teeth to require something, you could recommend that electric chargers be placed, or that bike racks are placed all over the place, or you make connections to bike paths in certain ways, or you use less parking lot area and more open space in different ways like that.
Yeah, that's right, Drew. I mean, it's not just about it could include some public transportation initiatives as well as the things that you've just mentioned. So it might be as simple as providing alternatives or just finding ways to alleviate traffic. So transportation can just be a broad stroke, but kind of wanted to investigate that as much as we could and see what what exactly we could start to make part of our process. Tomorrow, I do have another follow-up phone call with the North Shore TMA. She's going to present to me sort of what some other cities and towns in the area do through their planning board. So I'll have a little bit more information for our first subcommittee meeting, which I'm hoping is 2 weeks from tonight, if we could.
Okay, any other questions from the board or any other matters properly before the board?
Mr. Chairman, we have to, or not we, you have to vote for positions tonight, and then we will do seating as well.
That's under H vote. Each position requires a nomination and a second nomination to a specific person, and then an acceptance from that person. So usually start off with the secretary. Somebody want to make a recommendation for our board member to be the secretary? Mr. Ford?
I would nominate Attorney Avanites for the position of Secretary of the Planning Board.
Oh, I would accept that.
Do we have a second? Joseph Gagnon, second, and an acceptance by Mr. Avanites.
I believe, Mr. Chair, we need a second on that.
Mr. Feld, seconded.
Yeah.
Vice Chair, we have a motion.
I don't believe we did the total
We got to
vote.
vote.
Oh, well, all those in favor of Mr. Avanites?
Aye.
For the record, everyone has raised their hands.
Except Mr. Avanites.
Except Mr. Abbott.
Right.
Motion, a recommendation for Vice Chair.
I nominate Mr. Ford.
We have a second nomination. Mr. Phelps, we have a second.
The Gonzalez.
Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Ford,
I'll accept it.
accepted. All those in favor of Mr. Ford?
Aye.
For the record, everybody has raised their hand except for Mr. Ford.
And final is for Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would move Mr. Thomas Betancourt for the position of Chairman of the Peabody Planning Board.
Second.
Second by Mr. Otto and Joseph Gagnon, second. As long as I'm still healthy, I accept.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Show everybody has raised their hand except for Mr. Betancourt.
Okay, now pursuant to that, we have to draw for positions for votes on the planning board.
I have put down 9 numbers on a piece of paper inside of this box. I will then pick the box. I will not look into the box. I will reach my hand into the box and pick the numbers out, and we'll go in order of current voting. So, Miss Otto, you are first. I'm not looking, and I am pulling out number 8.
Woohoo.
Write it down so I also have this. Next, Mr. Feld. Number 1.
Leadoff guy.
Big one.
Mr. Arvanites. 2.
You
Damn, I need to shake this up.
moved up.
Yeah. Mr. Gagnon. 7. Attorney Cooper. 9. 9. Yep, 9. Mr. Simoes. 4. Mr. Ford. 3. Mr. Betancourt.
How about Matt? He's,
Sorry, well, Matt, sorry, well, how it goes is Matt is the last, but so would it be Matt or Mr. Betancourt? That's how I had it.
Tom would vote last.
I would
Anyway.
vote last.
So Mr. Gisali, 6. Mr. Betancourt, final number 5, but you'll vote last. So
Okay. Any other matters before the board? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Just
Just
a second.
one thing.
Did you have a number left over, Drew?
I forgot that Tom just votes last regardless, so I put in 9.
Did you pull for Attorney Cooper?
I did, yeah.
Are we missing somebody? I know we have 9 members.
No, well,
Oh, I see what you did. Okay, I understand. I got it. Tom goes last anyway, whatever the number is.
Okay, and this might be Kurt too, to see if he can help us. We're looking to add other members to the board if possible. We need some alternates and would really prefer to have a civil engineer if you can coerce somebody into applying to the mayor.
Yep, the mayor talked to myself, and I believe he talked to Drew about planning board as well as conservation commission. So there are a few vacancies on some of the city boards and commissions.
I feel it's a good responsibility for citizens of Peabody to be parts of these decision-making boards. And I'm quite proud of being on it for 37 years. Okay, now I will accept a motion. That would
Make a
know.
motion to adjourn.
That's, we have a second.
Second.
Dr. Otto, all those in favor?
everybody has raised their hand.
And again, thank you very much for everybody's attendance.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank
week.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night.